I would like to start a new series. A series about video games. Specifically, licensed brand games. Now you may be thinking that I just mean movie licensed games, but no. Not all of these games are based off movies. Some of them are based off TV shows, some of them are based off books, some are based off comics, some are based on board games, some are based on toys, some are based on magazines, some are based on theme park rides, and some of them are based on whatever the hell Crazy Frog was supposed to be. I have a strange but fond fascination with these types of games, partially because some of the first games I played were based on pre-existing brands, but also because I feel like getting a licensed brand game can be the best lottery you can try on either getting a diamond in the rough or a hilariously bad pile of garbage. I think it would be pretty funny to look over some of these fantastical fusterclucks, and to maybe even find some games that are actually alright to appreciate. Anyway, I would get on to reviewing these games. If only I had a game to play. That'll do. Alright, first up on the chopping block is... well, I guess it could be worse. This was one of those aforementioned brand-based games I had when I was a kid, and unlike the other few games I had at the time, this was actually easy enough for me to beat. Age of Empires 2 was too confusing, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban frightened me, and I was only allowed to play New Super Mario Bros. Wii when my dad or sister was also playing, in which we spent most of the time just throwing each other off into bottomless pits, rather than actually beating the levels. The game is, of course, based off of the 2005 movie, which while my opinion on it nowadays is somewhat mixed, I loved watching when I was young. But it was not my interest in the movie that got the game in my household, it was just one of the games that my sister got alongside the PS2 console as a birthday gift from her friends. I don't even think it was a new copy of the game she received, just one of a couple of pre-owned games, though that still did not stop me from enjoying it when she let me use the system. I even thought of it as a great game, up until the last time I played through it around 2021, which is when I first had the idea to make a YouTube video about it. When playing the game, I'm greeted with a somewhat abridged version of the events that happened in the movie, with multiple styles of cutscenes to show it. It shows pre-rendered 3D animation, in-game 3D animation, which can look a little stiff sometimes, and storybook sketch animations, which I can guess were made both to make it feel like the original book, and also to save time not making more 3D animation. The first cutscene shows the first 4 kids finding their golden tickets, and ends where the first level picks up, with Charlie chasing after a $10 note. The game starts off with an inverted X camera, and a somewhat poor frame rate. The camera can be changed in the options, but the frame rate is stuck like this for the PS2 version of this game. It's manageable for me, but still unpleasant. The level itself is short and basic. It just teaches you to move around with the left stick, turn the camera with the right, jump with X, and interact with triangle. There is one jump near the end of the level which tells you to bring a box on top of a snow hill to get higher up, but you're actually able to get up without the box if you jump at the right time. How considerate for the developers to put an alternate path forward for players with poor upper body strength. How inclusive. After that, Charlie reaches up to grab the note atop a chimney, with audio that was not quite synced up with the actions on screen.
Almost got it. Oh no!
And slips down while reaching, leading us on to the one of 2 slide levels in the game. In this, all I have to do is steer Charlie's trash can lid down the streets, avoiding obstacles towards the note flying away. Now, I could have sworn that when I first played this game as a kid, that I had failed at this section over and over again. But when I tried fiddling around with the level, I found that if you pull back and stop sliding, the note stops flying away too. So I don't know if I'm misremembering parts of my childhood, or if the game somehow has a bug where it's now impossible to fail the level. Anyway, Charlie catches the note just as he arrives at the sweet shop. He finds his golden ticket and meets up with Grandpa Joe and the other kids at the gates of the factory, where we see the sketchbook design of all the kids, which look fine for the most part, but one thing that caught my eye is that Mike's hair here looks different than how it did in the paper. And I know that the sketch versions of the characters are supposed to look different altogether, but it's just that it's a bit weird. Also, Grandpa Joe is the only adult to go into the factory, which I can only think happened because they didn't want to sketch any more characters or hire any more voice actors. I head into the factory and have the third level start inside the chocolate room, where the tour won't continue for Charlie until he gets Augustus out of the pipes. Charlie isn't allowed to enjoy himself in this magical wonderland until he risks his life doing manual labour for a stranger. Well, fine then. In this level, I learn how to order Oompa Loompas around with the D-pad and to throw gobstoppers with the square button. I like the animation, sound effects, and the damage that the gobstoppers have, but the aiming is a bit wonky. To aim shots, I can hold down the square button and an aiming reticle will show up in the direction you're facing. It can also lock onto trees, objects, and enemies, although it's not really accurate. If there are two or more things in front of you that can be locked onto, there's no simple way to select which thing I can lock onto. I just kinda have to finnick and flick around with the left stick and hope that I lock onto what I wanted. But if not, then I have to change my position. Anyway, I send some workers off to the bellows to get Augustus moving and then hunt for some Wonkavite, which can restore my orange health meter, and Lolly Doodles, which restore my purple power meter. The thing about Wonkavite is that since it's full of energy, it bounces around and away from you. It is possible to catch it with luck, but I'm supposed to send an Oompa Loompa to fetch them for me. It's not really a big problem, just a quirk, since the only consequence for losing your power and dying is respawning at the last checkpoint. And there's no life counter, so I'm able to die as much as I can before I succeed. I also find scattered across the room that there are collectible candies. Collecting every piece of select candy in a level increases the health and power meter. But if every piece of select candy in the game is collected, I can unlock a bonus in the menu. And it is not worth it. I just unlocked the option to rewatch all the cutscenes in the game and to see some trailers and screenshots from the movie, which I could probably just get on YouTube. So then, after saving Augustus, Charlie can head on with the tour. No, actually, he's not out yet. One of the ways this game deviates from the movie is adding new rooms to the chocolate factory, starting with the Jelly Beanstalk room. This is also where I meet the Wonkabots, the Harvester Oompa Loompas, and the first candy power, Jelly Beanstalk vines, which are used to trap Wonkabots in a ball of vines to then roll into pipe plugs to regrow the beanstalk vines, leading us out of the level. The Jelly Beanstalk vines work fine enough in this level, but become outclassed by every other power I unlock from the fact that they are quicker to activate and have more opportunities to use them. Anyway, I am still not done with helping Augustus, as Charlie enters what I assume to be part of the inventing room. I then meet up with welder Oompa Loompas who can fix gas leaks, so I take them to fix some leaks to send Augustus off through the pipes and recolor some candy until I come across some aggressive Wonkabots, where I get the next power, Wriggle Sweets, which can be used to distract enemies. I used it more than the vines, but it's not the best power. Also, I'm pretty sure I've been dealing with these Wonkabots wrong this whole time I've been playing it. I've usually just thrown gobstoppers at the robots while distracting them with the Wriggle Sweets, but there have always been these garbage chutes surrounding the floor in the area, which makes me think that the way I was supposed to clear them out was to throw a Wriggle Sweet on top of the chutes to lure the robots onto them. I never did that because my strategy worked just fine for the, 10 plus years I've been playing this game? Maybe 15? And it's somewhat annoying to actually land the Wriggle Sweets on the chutes, and for them to stay there and not, wriggle off. Next, we head back to the chocolate room, where we have to collect specific coloured candy to fix the flow of the chocolate waterfall. Not sure how that works, but whatever. After we get everything we need, we receive the candy balloon, which we can use to bounce around and up to a slide, leading us to a bunch of paddles to practice more with it. The balloon is useful for getting around and reaching high places, but is still awkward to use. In order to keep bouncing, I have to hit the X button right as I land, but I found that it's actually more accurate to hit the X button a half second before I land instead. Or to just mash the X button. Then, after reaching the top of the paddles, Augustus is, finally, freed from the pipes, and we can head on. in the next video. I don't think that the rest of the script is going to be able to fit on the end of this video alone, so I'm just going to split it into 2 parts like the Fallout 4 video. I'm sorry it's taken so long to get this video out in the first place. It's mostly been an issue of motivation and laziness, but there also have been more things that have been going on in my life, like I lost my job for starters, but I also gained a role volunteering background art for an indie YouTube animation. I'm not really sure if I'm allowed to say which animation it is, but I'm still happy to be doing work for them. I'm not at all sure when part 2 of this video is going to come out, but I estimate it'd be around the day before the heat death of the universe.